We need a test here.
Well, it's 4:30, call a meeting to order. The meeting properly announced.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Roll call, show that all committee members are here and Jerry Paler is sitting in for Ken Bork. And get an approval of the agenda. So. Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Public participation on agenda items. If somebody wants to speak on it, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Approval of minutes of the last meeting. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Is there any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. 2024 budget proposal.
So we had our first budget meeting with administration, and we don't really have any super loud updates other than a more of a detailed discussion will be had next month. Our levy amount likely is going to be adjusted back to what it was in the previous budget. So we don't have a huge discussion element for this item. One comment I'd make in regards to the budget though is just remember that for new construction, our money is already allocated or dedicated to county truck highway. So we won't be having a 2024 new construction project. That money is already allocated for county town. So more to come. More next month.
Okay, next.
Can I ask a quick, what about the Highway Z project?
Yep. So how we're set up is it was our direction to get county town reconstructed, and so that's where all of our money has been focused in 2024 as well. We have are in the process of submitting another grant for County Z. So it'll be another 80-20, so 80% federal funds, 20% local funds. It's not a guarantee we get that grant. However, we will submit for it. And hopefully that would be the case for, I'm requesting funds for 2025. So that would be the next year. We have post County Trunk Highway M construction. That would be our first opportunity to do something out on County Z again. Now, with that though, the committee, we've already started. We got one bridge. One of the bridges is in design now and scheduled for 2024. And the other one, I believe, is scheduled for 2025. Those two structures down at the south of H, down there. And so we obviously we're getting ready. You can't do the bridges. I don't want those to be part of the reconstruction project. I want those done in advance. And so then we would of course just tie into those approaches at that point. I don't know on the grant funds. Our applications are due by the end of October, and it's usually months before we hear anything back if we get those. If we don't get any grant money, I believe it's still the committee's intentions that we're going to take our 1.5 million, that's what we historically have spent on new construction, and we will go back out there with those funds and start doing construction out there. How far that goes, 1.5 million, it's a smaller project, correct. Now, we all know in the room here, I think we do as well, Supervisor Paler, is that the right of way is already purchased. That's done. The design is on paper, but it's dated 2008 vintage. So we still need to refresh or revisit that plan set to bring it up to current design standards. So things have changed since that was put on paper.
That answers my question. I knew that all the right of way had been purchased and everything, so I was just curious how the project was going.
If other people buy that right away, want that land, do they gotta re-up? You gotta re-up and pay those people, or it just goes with the title or deed from land?
So the right of way purchased is, the right of way on County Z. Which is, right of way in fee is acquired right of way property, so that becomes county owned land. And that will not need to be reacquired. The only thing that would remain in question then for a right of way on County Z when we do get back out there are the smaller areas or the limited term easements, and those are not all of them, but most of those are around driveways for grading driveways back in. That's where you see those temporary limited easements in those instances. Those may need to be reestablished.
Okay, anything else? Move on, Town of Monroe County Highway C speed reduction, 18th Avenue to 17th Avenue.
Correct, so, we did get a request from Town of Monroe, comes from the town, to reduce, County C between 17th and 18th Avenue. From 55 miles an hour to 45, and this is their letter from the town here. Attached behind that are some other, are the letters of support for that from the residents along that segment of roadway. So I did attach that behind that letter. Yeah, I'm scrolling through these. If you want me to stop, please say so. They have been attached to the agenda. Like I say, I can back up to any of these if you like. So there are, letters of support from residents in that area, okay? Additionally, I went and looked for you and everybody. I went and pulled some historical data on that section of County C. This is just information. I didn't make this stuff up, but it's for your consideration. So I went and looked at, it's 55, we all know that, it's 55 through there. I went and looked at the historical average daily traffic count. So this is a Wisconsin DOT traffic counts. These traffic counts were not done in-house. So all counties in the state of Wisconsin are on some type of rotation by DOT, and they put their traffic counters all over the state of Wisconsin, including on county and town roads sometimes. So that's where I pulled this stuff from. Believe these numbers or not, the vehicle counts actually gone down some. Now, 2021 is the last count that was done in that area. And for all of our discussion, these counters were placed between 15th and 14th Avenue. So a couple miles to the east of where this request is being asked. The alignment, of course, it's straight. There's no curves. There's a very minimal vertical change. It's fairly flat. The entire segment is passing. So we have no passing zones in that section. It's all listed as, or painted as passing. So then I went in addition. Oh, there we go. So then I went and looked on community maps, and that's where you pull crash data and I guess incidents or vehicle incidents. And so what we have, I went back and looked at it in a 20-year time period. Now these are items that have been recorded on community maps. When we go there and look at a 20-year crash or incident history, there are what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 events. The majority of the events, of course, are, cardiers. The last one here in 2016 that I found didn't specify if it was a cardier or a vehicle left the road there what exactly was that took place.
Must have been 115 too.
Here's one in 15. There's 1, 2, 3 and 15. Yeah. Yeah, like you said, this bottom one here is,
Yeah.
you know, I tried to, whatever was on the description that I have access to is what I put on here for you to look at. Okay.
I think if you took a traffic count now, I think you're gonna see that it's probably higher. I know that's something you and I talked about, we might have to do that anyway before we can get it approved to go down.
Yeah,
You know, with, biggest thing right now is with Highway 21 being closed part way, we're getting a lot of everything traffic up through there right now.
in addition, I've taken a few calls sporadically. I guess I wouldn't say I get 10 calls, but periodically I'll get a call of truck traffic, trucks passing or using for some reason wanting to use that as some type of bypass and cutting across County C. It is, you know, I don't want to get off this subject here at County C, but you know, I've taken calls like that in other areas of our county. Just close it to trucks. Well, it doesn't really work that way. It's a county truck highway and it is a public roadway, so it is there for use. You know, so that's kind of what I have so far.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
what is the cost of the county? Is it minimal, just changing the signs on the posts that they're already on, or?
Well, I think if there's consideration that, I think the town here would like to comment at some point here, but I think one of the things the committee should take into consideration before altering or changing a speed on a rural highway is we have about 200 miles of highway where potentially other towns may line up and make similar requests. Now, I'm not saying they will, but in total, we have 225 miles of county truck highway. What would be the cost to change the speed limit there? Yeah, it would be putting an advanced, speed reduction sign in advance of the 55 because you're going to reduce. You'd put an advanced warning sign, and then you'd have to post the 45 in place of the 55.
Don't you have to go through state approval to change the speed limit?
So that's one of the things that I think the town and I discussed this previously as well. And that's one of the things I would recommend doing, that if there's consideration or thought of changing the speed limit, I would encourage the committee to consider doing a traffic engineering investigation study. And what that does is going to do that very thing. It's going to come back with a recommended posted speed. And if you look at some of the attachments here, in this one here, now this comes from Wisconsin DOT. It kind of mentions an engineering and traffic study must be completed and documented for any speed zone change. Further goes on to see attachment section 2 down below, and there is more down below here. And it talks about that, it gives you a whole background philosophy and things like that. This table here, it does. This is the speed table for highways. So within this, there's 35s, 15s, 25, all those various speed limits, and what the variation could be for each of those zones. But yeah, I would encourage, just because what's going to be your justification if when the next one comes to you? You need, I think, as a committee, you should consider that and be prepared to have that answer. On what grounds or basis did you make the decision?
Does the state charge for that study?
The state will not do the study. That has to be funded by
Us.
Yeah, by the county or, you know, essentially by the county. It should be done. If you're going to inquire, we went through I think we had this on the table once before for a different area. A rough estimate, I don't have one for this area. We looked at another section of County Trunk Highway down in the southeast part of the county there, it was County G. That was about 1.5 miles, I think it was, from G north. And the estimated cost, we had an estimated cost contract from our general engineer for that one, was right in that $6,000 range to do that study.
Kathy,
Well, one of the reasons we want it reduced is from 18th to 17th, there's like a dozen people that live in that area. After 17th, there's nobody until you get to 50. But those dozen people have the semis driving by at 55 miles per hour. Now, on the other end, in Big Flats, they've got it 45 miles per hour all the way from the church all the way to the corner of 13. So I think we're just asking one more mile of 45 miles per hour for those residents that live in that condensed area. Because after you leave 17th to 15th, there's nobody. So then that could be 55, no problem.
they're permanent residents.
They're permanent residents, yes. And like I said, in Big Flats, it's a congested area and that whole area is 45. Well, we still have congestion from 18th to 17th for that 1 mile.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I think we've got to take into consideration what Pat brought up, that, you know, this might open up a can of worms and we'll be overrun with this too. I mean, $6,000 a pop, we'd have to do it for everybody. I think it would start costing us some big bucks.
Well, we don't know that it's gonna cost that much right now. I think, we can look into it and see what it will cost. Right?
I can get a cost proposal from our general engineer. That's the committee's desire.
Kathy,
Can't you reduce it by 10 miles per hour anyway, under the law?
And that's a discussion that's been had a few times, gone back and forth. I think in order to reduce it by 10 miles per hour, I think you're going to want to have some type of engineering justification to do so. I understand what you're relating to in regards to the congestion. There's actually 18 driveways in that 1 mile segment of road. On one side of the fence, you would consider that a lot.
Right.
On the other side, it's probably not that many. You had mentioned earlier in regards to another area, County Trunk Highway C being reduced speed. There are some provisions that lay out being able to reduce speed based on the driveway spacing. So when you look at a section of road, I was just trying to read it there a second ago, within 1,000 mile, or within a thousand foot segment, if the driveway spacing is 200 feet or less, then yes, you should have to reduce speed. And, you know, in this case here, I'm not quite sure we have that.
there's some that be.
And Marty, I got it.
Yeah, well,
This is not far off road track, but knowing the cost of things these days. $6,000 to do that, they are not doing much. I mean, $6,000. I mean, I'm just saying, that has to be, I'm 3-4 hours of work or something, and you know, 6,000, come on, that, I mean, it's not rocket science that they're gonna be doing. What would they actually do?
We actually, I've actually never been through one myself. But we do have, and I'm not sure he's, ready to have that discussion, but we do have our general engineer on the meeting with us. I'm not sure if he'd be ready to comment on what is all entailed in a traffic engineering study. And Mr. Berger, is that fair, Gordy?
Yeah,
Can I see
yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Berger, are you familiar with that process? I don't think he's going to comment. Our general engineer is actually, AECom, the gentleman's name is Bob Berger. He is on a job in northern Wisconsin, so it is not abnormal to lose connection with him periodically, and so his audio might not be working, or he's not able to hear us, so. So I can't answer that specifically, what's all entailed in.
Well, I'm curious probably more than anything, because that's, you know, with the price tags of things anymore, in an engineering firm, $6,000, they can't be doing a lot. But I will say that I do see and tend to agree with the benefit that, and not just this type of thing, myriads of other things are better left outside the house done for various reasons, like accountability and so on and so forth. If you got somebody privately that's qualified to do a lot of these things, and again, I'm talking about things scattered across the whole county government thing. There's things that are done, have been done in-house that in my opinion should absolutely not be done. So I'm not disagreeing with that thought process. I'm just curious like, what exactly does get done.
Gordy, can we table this until we get information on how much it actually costs?
Well, can we, instead of just tabling it, can we ask Pat to do some research in it? And give us some
Tabling
advice?
it, I'm sorry, tabling it means you're gonna act on it at this meeting. Postponing is if you're gonna do it the rest of the.
We're gonna make that motion.
Most been made, is there a second? I'll second it. Most been made and seconded to do the speed study and see what it's gonna cost.
Well, you mean find out the cost
Right.
before you do, okay.
Yeah, find the cost of what it's gonna be, and then we can make a decision after that. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
I,
All opposed? Motion carried. All right, Town of Monroe ATV, UTV route application, County Z and County C, 3 segments.
Want me to go?
Yeah.
So we got, before us, for the committee today, application, just like mentioned, County Z, Black Hawk Avenue, Black Hawk Drive. That segment there is, it has a mix of 35 and 45. You can, kind of envision that area, it's kind of from like County C, that's Black Hawk down there, on the south end, and then Bighorn Drive is, up on the northern end of it, right by the convenience store there is where that, so the road that accesses the park. Then we all know where County C is, of course, we discussed that some here today already. C from Z over to 18th, in that area, there's 35 and 45 in that segment of roadway. And then C from 18th Avenue, or 18th Avenue to 17th Avenue. And that is, again, that's 55 in that segment. I went down here a little bit. I don't have much more to add. I didn't add much more in there. The traffic counts again are from DOT, and they are actually down the road to the east from that location. You know, because we didn't, internally, we didn't have anything newer than this here. I suppose we could argue you gain a few cars or lose a few cars in that stretch, you know, that couple, 3-4 miles before you get to this segment of highway. But that's the closest DOT count that we have. Below it's an estimated cost of signing the 3 segments independently. So what you're looking at there is County Z, County C, and County C. Okay, so 3 segments as they were submitted. All the documents from the township were attached and as needed or prescribed within the ordinance, so I received everything that was indicated needed for it to be considered. So that is in here. Yeah, the resolution. They had a map with it and everything that was needed was attached for the ordinance, per our ordinance. If I need to stop anywhere, please just say, I'm just scrolling through. If you haven't had a chance to look at this, this is all supporting documents to the application that gets submitted with it when it comes in.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
Pat, could you tell us why you denied it?
pardon?
Could Pat tell us why you denied it?
So the reason for my denial is I evaluated based on the language of the ordinance. Part of the ordinance is there's that 5-mile detour. And in each instance, when I look at it, for example, County Z, you can actually get around there. Same thing. Now I'm thinking of you're sitting at, like, say you're sitting at 18th or 17th or something. The town roads are open for use, so you just go up and go over and come back down, and that's 1, 2, 3 miles. So that's the language in the ordinance, and that's the reason for my response.
The reason for us wanting to add those 2 in there is trying to get a little bit of the ATV, UTV traffic off of Bighorn. Is, with the ATV park down, County Park, down there's so many, going straight out and then hitting Z, which is already open, going to the north when they come out to that corner. And being that we've got a 35-mile section that we can, as a township, can already put the ATV, UTV signs up. We just got that short section of 45 that would connect. So basically what we're asking for is the ability to sign up through to Bighorn on that segment.
Mr. Chair,
It's probably about 1/8 of a mile.
here's why I'm against it. We just had 2 bad wrecks on intersections. One was on C and G, one was on C and 13. And now we want to add another intersection onto that. If we can get around that without, and then tonight we hear that it's a busy road, that people want to slow the traffic down, but we're gonna put more ATV, UTV traffic on that road. I guess I don't.
That's why we have it in 3 segments, Scott, not all the way through. Because I mean, the 35, the township can do already. It's just them short segments of 45 that pulls us up from actually signing it all the way through, because as well as I do, any place that's 35, the municipality can open it.
They can
Without
get to the
coming to us.
ATV, UTV and people park through the trail system too, though, right?
But that's not open year round. Kathy?
Except for the people that live on those stretches can't,
Yeah.
because they have no way to get out of their driveways to the trail. They have to trailer their machines to do that.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
that's all over the county. We have that on the
I know,
county junk roads.
but we don't have this unique setup where we've got a 35 that can be signed at any time with just a short section of 45.
It's an
And that
8
connects
mile.
to County Z that is already open at 45.
I'm just having a hard problem with the County Z, County C intersection. It just seems to me to be a lot of traffic.
There hasn't been any accidents there yet, and they've been, ATVs, UTVs been on
Yeah.
already, so.
I hope that stays that way.
I'm sorry, anybody else want to go with that?
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah,
Adams County wants to be the recreational, known for its recreational things, but yet every time we try to get things passed, it doesn't pass. And and the county supports the county park, and they've been able to add on to their park for an ATV, UTV section, but yet our little stretch of road can't be used from the park system.
I want to take this in each segment, so I'll take County Z first. From Black Hawk to Bighorn. Somebody wants to deal with that.
Make a motion, let me, go forward with them.
Okay,
Sounds terrific to me.
okay, for a second,
I'll second.
okay, Phil seconded. Any further discussion on that segment? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
3. Okay, then we'll do the
I'm
county
sorry, Gordy, okay, what was the vote
3-2.
in favor?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Didn't quite hear the, all right, thank you.
yeah. Take the next segment is from County Z to 18th Avenue, same situation,
Make a motion, that way you go forward with it.
okay? And second,
I'll second.
okay, Phil second. Any further discussion?
I do.
Yes,
So this is, yes vote, you're voting against the ordinance, correct?
we're against the ordinance.
Yeah, that's in place right now. If we make these, you're voting against the ordinance, these rules.
For a short section,
Right, okay, I just wanna make sure
Yeah.
that that's okay.
yeah, we're against it where the 45 is.
I just wanna make it clear that the people that are voting yes are voting against the ordinance. Okay,
For part of it.
Well, I'm gonna throw this in, this is not directly or related, I guess, except maybe in a very small way, but. Everybody here knows I was in the zoning department for a long time. And there's definitely a printed black and white zoning ordinance. Well, obviously, over the years and long before me, variances of sorts were granted and so on and so forth. I guess what I'm getting at is, I'm ashamed to say I'm not more familiar with the ordinance that we're talking about in detail, but I understand where you're coming from, absolutely I do, when you put it like that, and that's, yeah, if it says this, you're doing this, and but maybe then I'm just saying that, maybe for the future and so on too, that maybe the county, the ordinance that regulates this ought to have some consideration for deviation.
I tried to do that here a few months ago.
I'm not exactly remembering what was discussed at that time, but I realize that doesn't help anything really right here and now, but
Well, motion been made and seconded to go ahead with that section. Is there any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. And we'll go on to the last segment from 18th Avenue to 17th Avenue, which is 55 miles an hour straight across, straight road. Same thing as what you passed up in Rome here a couple months ago.
Make a motion, we go forward with that.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to go ahead with that segment also. Is there any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Motion carried. Now you gotta update the roads ordinance.
It still has to go before the full board.
Yeah,
So at this point, the highway committee's approved all the routes to be
Right.
moved forward to county board.
Yep.
For full board consideration, that's how it goes.
however, that won't be until October meeting, because we don't have one this month. The September one has been canceled. Okay, we gotta do the amendment to ATV, UTV routes.
You guys do.
Okay,
You need a motion for?
Yeah.
Make a motion that we, order that.
okay, motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Phil seconded it. But basically, that's just, to list these roads that are open by the county. To have it on master sheet. So,
Did one other one fall off of there? I see one's crossed out of
yeah,
there.
there was one that got crossed off. a while
Is
ago.
that just hasn't come off, I take it?
That's been crossed out.
Yeah, I mean, it usually it'll come clean without anything. It's up above there.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, I can remove it, it's kind of removed, you can see that the date that it went on, you can see the date that it went off, that was at the request of, you know. I guess-
You just leave it on there for everyone that knows.
Historical
it's on there. Okay,
That went on there at the request of the town, it come off at the request of the town.
okay.
okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
No, you-
All opposed, nay, motion carries. Alright. County M construction project, 6-inch paint line culvert. Anticipated to make it to Fifth Avenue.
Yep, so County M construction. Agenda item, because it is active construction project, we have it on here to talk and do things or whatever else needs done. But a brief update, County M east of County G, so from G to the county line. Paving is scheduled to start on the 28th of this month. Okay, so the restorations should be done today, tomorrow, as far as the seeding and mulching. There's some curb sections in there that have been done. It's just, let's see, shaping, the gravel, shaping the surface, that's going to start next week. Paving is scheduled to be the 28th.
How many days does they figure it'll take to pave it?
Oh, I'm gonna say about a week.
Yeah.
Let's say about a week.
Probably do 2 courses on that anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So remember, there's 5 inches of asphalt out there.
Yeah.
So it'll be two passes.
Mr. Chair, so all the construction on M that has started will be blacktop by when?
Yes.
I've had a few people
You know,
ask
the
me
stuff
that.
that's west of G. That you're
Yes.
working on now?
That was the biggest part they're asking about, so.
You wanna jump over to that side now? So the stuff west of G, from G to.
I guess it's next, huh?
From G to Fifth Avenue, yes, the answer is yes. Now, when they started that, we were in agreement that it must be at least binder. So the binder is the lower level of
Yeah.
asphalt. We will leave the intention is to leave if you have an asphalt driveway, you're going to have an asphalt driveway this winter. And if they have to come back and grind that out next year, then that's so be it. That's the agreement discussion we had with the contractor. It will be binder, which is the lower level of asphalt. It will have temporary paint, so there's no point in putting epoxy on binder. We will put waterborne on there. We'll actually do that. We'll spray it with our truck. The curb will not be placed, so when you drive down there are sections where there will be curb, like I forget, Mr. Geringer's driveway there, used to be a dead end, road, but that's a private drive now. When you go down that hill, there's actually going to be curb there. There will be curb out by the intersection of G. None of the curb will be placed this year. It'll all be part of next year's contract. So it is happening. One of the other things, I talked with Gordy here a while back. The owner right in that area had requested a culvert be placed under the road to allow for a manure transmission line. They offered to pay for that installation, so I did reach out, it is something that was, I guess it was something that really couldn't wait till this meeting. They were needing to order pipe and get stuff scheduled, so I did talk with Gordy about it. He was in agreement. So we are going to allow a pipe be installed. I'm completely in agreement with it. They're going to pay for the cost. If we can keep a couple more trucks off the road or things like that, I'm all for it. It's better for everybody. The 6-inch paint lines, that's a change from what you're typically used to seeing. We're going to go ahead and spray 6-inch paint lines. That's where everything's moving to. We're just going to do it now.
That's what the state requires now.
The Fed, that's kind of comes down from the federal. All right. And then as far as the duration or how far the contractor is going to go, it's not going to be much further than what you guys are probably seeing right now. If you sneak through there, it's going to be right in that 5th Avenue area, plus or minus a couple hundred feet. They're not going to go to 8th. They're not going to go to 6th. It's going to be right in that area by 5th Avenue is where they stop this year. Everything they're working on needs to be restored, seeded, mulched. Culvert's got to be installed yet. Plus they got to pave all that yet. So there's a within the contract documents, there's an October 15th paving deadline. And I'm certainly willing to have some flexibility with that date. However, that's what they're shooting for, is having it paved by October 15th.
Okay. That's pretty much it on the construction. The oversight, yeah.
So, I see you're circulating documents. Okay.
Those are.
So that's my, that's my county M update, unless there's more questions, comments. No, so they worked down to 5th Avenue. We've not encountered any, let's say the contractor has not encountered any peat or substandard, pumpy, soft, losing, no abnormal subgrade. So that's good. Those areas, of course, were concerns. As of right now, there's been no substandard. It's all good. It's all looking pretty good. What you're seeing if you drive through there, I hate to keep talking, but I'll just say, when you look at it, there are a couple different types of material that are being placed out there. Predominantly, it's Seven Sisters gravel. That's what gets put down first. Then there's been some recycle that has been trucked in and placed as well. That recycle is coming from another project. It's part of the bid, so it's not like it's an extra cost. But that's being placed on top of that gravel, and that's what they will end up paving on ultimately, is that recycle.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there's this kind of getting a little bit this way. There's an area that on the new stuff that seems like it's coming up. There's bump signs there.
Yeah, looks like someone bored under the road or did something less than ideal there. We're on county, a little further outside the project limits, but you are correct. And you are correct also. We had a contractor do a bore through there. And he literally had to have bored just underneath the base course. As a result, that popped up.
What,
And
what,
it has not gone down yet.
I'm sorry. Why did you have to bore so shallow?
He didn't.
Oh, he didn't?
Our letter to him, I read it, the other gentleman in our office, we always require 30 to 36 inches below the ditch bottoms, which means when you cross the roadway, you're gonna be what, probably four,
I did that
four
for
and a half
several
feet.
years for a living, so a boring and stuff, so I.
He literally set his machine in a ditch and run it through the other side.
So
That's how he did it.
what's the recourse there?
He had like a 4-inch core, 4-inch bore, and he stuck a 1-inch line through it. I literally walked out there by hand and pulled the conduit right on.
What,
Front,
what company was this? Or,
Frontier, it was Frontier.
Imagine that.
that's.
So what's the recourse for that? We placed a nasty phone call to Frontier and said, what exactly are you doing? And, so our recourse to that is, my intent is this, I was gonna saw cut it, remove the gravel from there, get down to where that bore had taken place. And we'll take we have a jumping jack or a compactor, and we'll hammer away at that bore duct in there, that hollow spot. We'll recompact that in there, we'll put the gravel back in there, compact that back in there, and then we'll put new asphalt back in there.
Gotcha.
And when we're done with that, I'm gonna send a bill to Frontier, that's our recourse. And that's what our utility policy says, and that's what the letter says as well, that they received.
You did the damage.
What they wanna do with it after that is up to them. Our permit and our approval is with Frontier. If they wanna contract it out to John Doe Board, that's up to them. They can collect from them.
All right, I'm sorry, I just noticed it. And we were
Yeah,
talking
it's
about
just, it just makes, it's really frustrating to think that I gotta go out there, not me, but we're gonna go out there and cut a hole in the road now.
Yeah.
The alternative to doing that is sit there and watch it.
The rumors going around that the road buckled already. That's-
It did, as a result of the bore.
They're talking, it doesn't buckle in, this type of weather, right?
No, actually, County, all of it that's been constructed to date, it's actually wintered very well. It hasn't moved around a lot.
Looks good, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a result of a real poor judgment on the folks that on the board.
To say the least, I mean.
And unfortunately, from what I understand, it was real-time results. So as they were boring, they could see they were doing damage, and yet they kept going.
Going all the way to the other side. It's all the way across.
Actually, next week, I think is, we've been talking internally. I think we're gonna try to do that next week. And do it. Like I was saying, the alternative to that is you sit there and watch it age. We could take our mill head out there, but our mill head is not like, it's not like a production mill like you would see on a larger construction project like they mill on 82 or some of these other spots. It's going to be a lot coarser result in that the asphalt will be very rough after it's done. And that's not what we want either.
Well, then it's, if you don't do the compact, it's gonna, over years, it's gonna sink.
Exactly, we'll be going actually in reverse. That's what happened. there. It's not a result of weather or cold, none of that. It's a result of mechanical over. Okay.
Road posted bridge
Wait,
inspection.
wait, we gotta back up, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think we gotta do, we were talking about County Sherman Am in general,
Yeah.
the construction project. And now we have another item here,
Oversight.
the construction oversight. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, County M construction oversight, and we are on 12. What this is exactly what it sounds like. It's the 2024 construction oversight. So this is for all the work that takes place between 8th Drive and County G. We have construction oversight there right it's taking place. The guys, are out there doing it for us. But when we set the original construction oversight up with AECom, that was for everything east of County G. This is for everything west of County G. And so that's this agreement right here, what you're looking at. And I pulled it right down to the page where the cost is. I thought somebody might be looking for that at some point, so it is just short of 400,000.
Is that what was budgeted?
Actually, yes, we're within our budget, but you won't
It's part of the whole project.
get a construction oversight agreement like this on a $6 million project.
No.
Normally on construction, if you're looking at that 10 to 12, probably 12 and up range for construction. Yeah, I think it's extremely fair.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the AECom bid of 39,675.
Second. Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve the oversight construction agreement. Is there any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Now can I move on? Road posted bridge inspection agreement.
Yeah, so this one here is, again, exactly what it sounds like. This is for those bridges in Adams County that are load posted. Those load posted bridges cannot wait for the routine inspections. They must be done every year. And so that's the result of this year. We have two in the county. One's ours, one's the town of Rome. Typically what we do is that cost will be split. So the town of Rome will get a bill, we will get a bill. Hopefully there'll be one less in another year. Probably Jake.
Yeah.
That's what this is, and SEH is the company. I think they've been doing bridge inspections here in Adams County now, I'll bet, about 20 years. It's gotta be right around that time.
So we need action on this.
Yeah, please
I'll
do.
make a motion to accept the bid of 4,031.
Second. Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve the amount of the bid for the bridge inspection. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. 23, project status report.
So I did try to update it some. There's some bigger numbers in there now for seal coating. There has not, well, so same similar type subject here. However, County M, we've only really paid one, we've only received one bill for County M construction to this point. It was about 450,000 or so right that time, right in that range. So we haven't had, there's work taking place and materials are being bought, but contractor, we don't have another pay request yet from them. So there's obviously going to be another one forthcoming. And of course, once you start putting asphalt down, the money tends to go quick. So we will see that when that happens. So at this point, I don't have any more bills for county. We've only spent, what they have on there. No, they didn't put anything. So I guess I should have. That's my mistake. We have expended some money on county. It's about 430, 433. Yeah, right. That a little over 400, which we do have the money. Okay. So I need to update that. That's my mistake there. I missed that one. Like I say, we did do this County C project here. Since you're talking about this project status report, that has not started yet. That's scheduled to start next week, actually. So there'll be some activity out there. This seal coating projects, this project here on Double X, of course, remember we did postpone that. And then the seal coating, like I say, I've updated some of those numbers. But unfortunately, working with other counties, they move at different paces and could likely probably be additional. I know there's more bills coming from the other counties that help us with that task. So I know these will probably go up slightly yet on these seal coating numbers. Other things here?
You got any questions? Now we'll move on to the highway department 10-hour days.
So, I don't have a sheet or a slide or a picture for this one. But anyway, this was discussed last month. It was thought that we needed highway committee approval in order to do 10-hour days. We've had some discussions internally, and I think that we're all of the understanding that actually really probably don't need highway committee's approval to do 10-hour days. But be it that we did discuss it last month and it is on the agenda, we left it on the agenda for additional discussion or comment. Obviously, if we're receiving complete opposition from the highway committee, maybe we need to have more discussion and more information, shared and disseminated to kind of understand why. I know before there was some questions in regards to snowstorms, so I did go back. If you looked at the notes here, there is a little bit of I did go back and find some stuff on snowstorm. Now, when I say I went back and looked, I didn't go back and just try to look on the calendar and say, I think it snowed, I think it snowed. Actually, what we do here is every time it does snow, every time we have a response, we fill out a storm report that gets submitted to DOT. So I actually contacted DOT and I said, hey, run me the storm history on the past three winter storm seasons. So they did that for us. And so I think we had, like I mentioned here, we had 80 winter storms from 2020 to present. 80 storms that we've had, or 80 responses that our guys have gone out to on. 12 of those events occurred on a Friday. So there are times where it does snow on Fridays. Of course, we can't turn that off. It does happen. What are we going to do when it snows? We're going to plow and we're going to come to work just like we do any other day on a Saturday or a Sunday. And I've explained that to our guys. If you want to try this, if you want to do this, the expectation is, and I don't think I've heard any, no, I think it's just the opposite. Well, we're going to plow snow. We're going to come and work. So we have had that talk in here at the highway department about it's not a free day. It's not an ignore the phone day. It's a 40-hour, 4-day work week, but if the snow's on the weekend, we're going to plow snow.
Will that result in a lot more time and a half
It,
plowing it? I mean, I'm looking at us at the town level, we pay extra if there's weekend plowing.
yeah,
So will we now pay extra on a Friday plowing?
you potentially may. Yeah, if you get a snow event on a Friday, you very well may.
I think that's why, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I think that's why, the last time we talked about it, I brought that up, about the whole piece stuff. The possibility, of course, exists that can happen. And, I mean, yeah, like Patrick said, there's nothing you can do about it. If it does, or if it starts snowing on Saturday, well, you can't stop that either. You're gonna have to plow the snow, so. I guess for me, now that more I think about it, that's not a big deciding factor, I guess, for me, the fact that you might incur. Or, well, I guess probably likely will at some point.
Well, it's an extra expense to the townships.
Yeah, I know.
Because there are some townships that do use the county for the
Yeah,
plow.
I know.
Mr. Chair, you also take into consideration it snows after them 10 hours too, you're gonna pay overtime every night that them guys are out there also.
So how time works for us is it's overtime after 40 hours work. So for example, if a guy were to take 8 hours of PTO or 10 hours of PTO on Monday, and then he would work on Friday or Saturday, for example, that 10 hours would be at straight time until he gets his 40 hours actually worked. So, yeah, there's a risk of the potential of some added cost. There's a risk of some potential savings. I mean, there are this building wouldn't be heated if we're not here, the lights won't be on if we're not here. But like I say, if it does snow, it's our intent that we will be here to work, and that's part of, it's part of our jobs and what we do is provide that service to the county. I know there's mention and concern from the towns, we have we do plow snow for 2 townships currently. So,
I don't know if it really matters that much when you consider that whether it be on a Friday or Saturday or a Sunday, which day, you know, you only got so many hours that it costs you to plow that segments. So what's the difference if it's on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday?
Well, currently you have 2 days a week. That would be definitely time and a half if it's snowing.
Well, I
You're gonna
understand
have-
that, yeah,
Now you're gonna have 3 days.
potentially.
yeah, so Sundays for us are straight time. If we come in to plow on Sunday, that's straight time hours. That's the start of our work week. So our guys are straight time wage.
So that's how you, that's how you build the townships?
We do. And others, ourselves, state, everybody.
Could it be possible that maybe we'll get a total of the wages at the end of the year after a full year of this has happened and combine them? I mean, compare them?
I was thinking, you know, if you can keep track, you know, but then at the end of the day.
It's hard to compare them.
Well, it is.
Depending on snow events.
So you have.
You can average it out how much a snow event costs you. You know?
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. I mean, for those of us that work winter storms, it may sound all the same, but it is not the same.
Well, hourly
get
it
a-
should, right?
If you get a snowstorm that lasts 2 days or 1 day, or you get a wet snow as opposed to a real powdery snow, they're different.
Just the
They
difference
take
in
different,
hours.
they take different amount of time to clean up
Yeah.
on our system.
But the hours should all be calculated, that's what I'm saying. Whether it takes you 10 hours or 4 hours for a snow event, you know. All the hours at the end of the day should, you know, if you had 2,000 hours 1 year and 2,500 the next year, you just figure that out.
I mean, it would take some doing, I think, and I have the dates of the storms that I have listed here in my little memo here. That's how I received them, is by date. So I'm sure you could put a cost to those Friday events. But do you wanna see the cost of a Saturday event and a Sunday event then too? Cause you need to take all those into consideration. So we're talking about working 10-hour days.
I'm not-
It's still going to snow on Saturday.
I like the 10 hour, don't get me wrong, I was just wondering, at the end of the day, if it does cost us more than that.
I know I brought that up last month and, you know, that whole thing about overtime and stuff. The fact is, like, you can keep track of all the data you want, because I was thinking the same thing, Scott, too, about, you know, let's try it, but keep a log of sorts and different things. But then, I mean, so you have a year that's freaking one way or the other. It never quits snowing or it never hardly does. I mean,
Well,
I
if
wasn't
they-
trying to open a can of worms, but I wear 2 hats, you know that.
of course you do.
I was,
Yeah, and I was trying to phrase my response very cautiously for that reason. But I'll save it for another time. If the town were to have their own trucks, they could control their own snow removal process.
Exactly, I knew that was
Never.
coming.
never.
I knew that was coming. I knew you were thinking that.
You probably find out that having the county still cheap.
Yeah, right.
Pay overtime.
Yes.
Because you can't just have one plow truck, you've gotta have 2, because one of them's gonna break down.
For all parties, there's a risk of potential overtime on Friday or Saturday, both days. That's for us, the state, and the towns. Not that it makes it right, and I would just say that, and I don't like this sometimes when this brought up, because if X person is doing it, doesn't make it right for Adams County. I understand it. But there are counties that are working year-round 10-hour days in a lot heavier snow bound areas than we, and then they're making it. But again, just because they're doing it doesn't mean that Adams County has to do it. our guys have asked for this for several years and for several, I mean, literally years, they've asked for each going year-round 10-hour days, and I've always said, yeah, no. And, but now here we are today, and we're discussing it here. And at this point, I previously had agreed to do it. I thought I had that ability or authority, and then it was, mentioned that maybe not, and then, now again, maybe the other way, that we actually do.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
I will just say this, Patrick, for whatever it's worth, I'm not gonna debate, I don't know for sure whether, I told you I wasn't that familiar with the shooting with that ordinance, but I'll say this, for your own good, this is best that it took place. I mean, cause not everybody loves everybody's decision, somebody's gonna be torqued somewhere,
Sure, yeah.
Well, I mean, but here, you didn't just unilaterally do it, you came here, and that was the wise thing to do. I'm done.
I think for retention and recruitment, it's a good thing.
I think it's a good thing. I know I've kind of been through this several different times on the committee, and it's been discussed for a lot of years, and I think it's time to.
Do we need a motion or anything on this?
I don't believe so, no, I just, like I say, after another additional meeting internally here, I think we had discussions, I always thought that it actually falls within my authority to be able to do this. Of course, I'm going to, something like this is a change to our operation, so now it was on last month. But we didn't have really, I guess it kind of wasn't, it was in the employee, our portion of the employee handbook. But it was thought that it'd be brought back here.
Mr. Chairman.
I wouldn't make a decision like this without having this discussion.
And that's good, like you said, that anybody that is beneficial for you and everybody else. Just to throw out there, so, for this department to go to a 10-hour day is one thing, but if for a courthouse office department to do that, that's an entirely different thing. You don't have the public needing your services here 5 days a week. That's not the case over there. So that's an argument that can be made for why, it's beneficial probably at the end of the day to do that. It's just not practical for everyone.
The solid waste is going 10-hour days too.
So solid waste is doing a split tents,
Yeah.
slightly different,
Yeah.
but very similar.
Yeah.
Their guys do work 4 tents, but they have a split shift, so,
I sit on solid waste.
Yeah. So what kind of action do you want on
I
that?
don't, when we discuss it, we really don't think it's, I guess, appropriate or needed a vote.
Okay.
So we have some notes here, potential costs. We can do that now. We'll talk, Chris and I will talk about it, see how we can fast track that. And we really need to get another person in our office to help here. We interviewed, now we're off topic. We interviewed today, but we need a.
Nothing
We've
yet.
been real fortunate. Admin's been helping us some, solid waste has been helping us some.
I think Chris can take over both.
Yeah, I know. We'd be bold as I. So, yeah, that's a 10-hour day, thing. Don't want to beat it up anymore than it is, I guess, at this point.
Okay, we'll move on. Highway Department policy.
This one is here though, so, it's the same book that you guys had before you last time, last month. I know, some of us went home and studied it some. Like I said before, this is not an I got you moment for any of us or our guys that work here. This is how we do things here on a daily basis. There's no hidden anything in here. This camera policy, for instance, that's a memo that I issue to our employees. We have cameras here. You need to be aware of it and you need to leave those alone. We have AVL GPS on our equipment, and what that is, it's just like it sounds. It's GPS on the trucks. We get location and speed out of that. Don't touch that equipment. Leave it in there, leave it connected, let it just do its story. Towing. We don't tow privates. We might tow ourselves, if we get a truck stuck, but we do not hook to a private vehicle. Ancient, I mean, that one goes back to when I started here, I think, we've had that in place. Firewood disposal, that's another thing that we do here. We cut wood along a lot of properties. We don't allow our guys to make any negotiations or agreements on that wood. That's the landowner's wood or the county's wood at that point. If it's the county's wood, it's coming back here. If that landowner wants to give it to his neighbor, that's fine. But our guys don't negotiate the acquisition of those trees or those logs. Not on our time. Our footwear or our CDL policy, CDLs are required here. I kind of started down the list a little bit, so I can go back up, but our safety footwear, that's a policy that we've had, oh gosh, again, for years. How our footwear policy works is we, once or twice a year, we'll bring in Rogan shoes. They have a mobile boot van, and so they'll come here. It's typically at the end of the day, or let me say it's typically at the very end of the day or after the day. So we don't do it at 12 o'clock, we don't do it at 1, it's right at the end or after when they show up here. And what we do is we give the employees, and we work with the vendor where we give them is it 125? I think it's $125 voucher towards the purchase of their food. So they can use it that way, or they can use it in the store in Madison or in Point. The other option they have is they can buy it from whoever they want. They can buy it from Shippy Shoes, I guess, if they want to go there. But then they have to bring their invoice, their original invoice, into us, and they will get remittance through the voucher process on the food. So that's the boot policy. I skipped over two-way radio policy. Our expectation is that when they're on a radio, it's work-related discussion, nothing else. Tool allowance for the mechanics is by the county policy. When you go down, you'll see that there is actually wording in the Adams County Employee Handbook that talks about how damaged tools get reimbursed. There's not a annual allowance for a mechanic to have tools, and that's not in here either. It's not in this book. Damaged tools get replaced by the county. That's the extent of it. So it's by county policy. Jewelry policy, we talk about, just within there, we talk about dangling chains or rings. We don't want to have somebody have an incident with a chain or a ring on their finger. The shop policy one's kind of just general safety and things like that. Safety shoes, safety glasses, welding aprons if you're doing a lot of welding and cutting or in the shop. Like the damage investigation protocols, that's something that we've been doing again for years. Every incident that we have an issue with or takes place, we do a little bit of asking, a little bit of inquiring as to what happened, why did it happen? Is it truly an accident, or was it truly a lack of judgment? And if so, is there discipline warranted for that? Then we would follow through with the discipline process on that. It unfortunately can happen, and when it does, we address it. We want to do everyone the same way. Then you get down to the bottom here. These are just general safety statements. The bottom two are crack filling and logging operations. Those are, let's see, they are, the crack filling one is specifically set up by our safety consultant, keeping safety simple. And that's what we do, is we rotate our guys on the crack filling operation on a rotational basis. So they're never on one job for more than probably 35-40 minutes before they rotate to another position. That is because of the exposure limits and exposure twos. So we run dust bags on our routers now, but the dust bags by themselves eliminate the silica risk. we still rotate guys through that process, so they do different jobs throughout the day. What else is out there? Oh, logging operations, that basically just what that says, what that means to us is we never wanna send a guy out by himself to do any type of logging or cutting. And then, with us is, logging booths, logging logging chaps and the hard hat divider and all those things that we provide. Here at Highway Department. So I don't know, I know I skipped over probably the top portion of this, so if you wanna go back up, if there's any questions or things.
We're good.
Oh, we're good?
Yeah, so we're good. Yeah. The only question they got a sign for this, saying that they read it, understand it.
Oh, do they have to sign? No, I don't have a signature page for it, but I certainly can make one.
I just think it,
Well,
working out where I was, that they'll come back and say, well, you never told me about that, you know?
yeah.
But if you signed for it, said that you read it and understand it, because if there's something they don't understand, well, I didn't understand it, so I didn't, you know.
I certainly can make a signature page, it's real simple. Actually, our Adams County Employee Handbook does have a signature page for it, which they do sign for, like you mentioned. I definitely can make one for this. Real simple.
I just think it's a good idea. I don't know what you guys think, but
Doesn't hurt. Yeah, you need signatures from all of us on the second page of that other document. Right? Yes, no, maybe.
Whoever signed it. I'm not the signature, please.
we asked that question out at the retreat and they said, you don't have to. That was the attorney telling us, so.
Yeah, well.
What was my
So
other
they didn't
question?
need
I
action on this or no?
Oh, Pat, if there's a change in any of these, how do you notify each, and do you have just a general meeting if one of these gets changed, or how do you notify the workers if something gets changed?
So if we were to change or add or something like that, we would sit down in this room here and have a discussion about it.
Okay.
That probably would only be like once a year anyway, it should go over that.
I can't, to be honest, I haven't changed anything in this thing in, I think, forever. Like I say, most of these things have been in existence for so long already that
Does the 4-day work week have to become part
That
of it?
was my next
it's
question.
in here, it's in here.
So that is changed.
So when you look at, right here, there's three of them in there, a few different things, right? I left 5-day work week in there because if the 4-day work week's not working, we're gonna go back, we gotta go back to something.
Yeah.
Then there's the 4-day work week in the summer hours, and then there's going to be a 4-day work week in the winter hours. And so what we will likely do at some point here is we will shift our start and finish time to better fit daylight hours. Do we work in the dark? Yep, we do. We do it a lot. But I guess when you're talking about boots on the ground type activities, our guys come to work. Right now, we start at 6 still. Even at 6 o'clock right now, it's a little hazy out. But we're not physically right on the job at 6 o'clock. We still have to get equipment ready. We still, if there's supplies or materials, if you're in the truck driving and hauling something, I don't see that as an issue at all.
So do you need a motion on that?
I think, from what I understand, this one,
Okay,
Make a motion to accept the highway department policy handbook as written.
okay,
Second.
okay, motion been made and seconded, is there any other discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Report on the highway department operations.
Okay, so, what we have been up to, if you've been out and around, you see we've done a lot of work on County J, County G in that area south of 21 and J in the town. That recycle pile that we crushed, that's where that material went is out there. Warranted, not warranted, that's what we decided to do. We have been continuing to battle the shoulders on both those roads, and we are going to give this material here a crack. So, we did quite a bit of work out there, and we did that with our own forces. We didn't bring any other counties in to help us. We had the trucks and the grader out there. We are painting, our crews are painting in the southwest region. We've been doing some painting for Wood County and Wapac County. In regards to painting though, I need to just mention quickly is that the southwest region, we call it southwest, it's literally the southwest region. When I say that, when you leave Adams County on this, when you leave Adams County in the south end, you're in the southwest region, right? So it's right next door. What I'm saying though is with the painting operations is the state of Wisconsin, due to some folks' unwillingness to paint 6-inch line, they have to date given us, I think it's over 2 million additional feet of painting. So when they do that, in these cases, they provide us or supply the materials for that. So the paint and the beads are already available. We don't have to order more in to go do that this late in the season. So that, I mean, that's good. We have State Highway 13 just south of 82, the first, there's a box culvert there. The first one south of 82, there we had a very active beaver that got in there and created a heck of a dam.
Yeah, that's what you would do.
Yeah, he had that, the beavers in there had that thing, there had to have been probably 6-7 feet of headwater that he was holding. And it took a couple cracks at it before they actually got it released.
When you say cracks, what?
Well, it's 6 or 7 feet of headwater, you don't mess around with there too much, I mean, that was.
But not explosives.
No, you get that much head pressure of water, and if you get that beaver dam loose or something, that water will take you right under, that'll take you right through there in a heartbeat. So very cautiously, a little bit at a time, come back, a little more, come back, a little more.
Can you get in there with an excavator or something?
No, that's way down there. Yeah, that's way down there. That was all by hand. We did seal coat out at solid waste. Yeah, you guys were probably there last night.
No, that meeting got canceled.
Oh, we did seal coat solid waste road, so from 21 in and around the scale and the asphalt that goes up towards the cell, plus our access road that goes back to the salt dome in that area. So we did do that. We're currently hauling topsoil off County M. There's a large quantity of excess topsoil, and that's a stockpile that's being generated on the side of the recycle pile. I don't know how much more we will actually haul off of there. There is more to be hauled. Topsoil in Adams County, if you can get your hands on it, take it. So we have been taking, it's pretty good topsoil so far, so we do have a few spots in mind where we will use a fair amount of it. County H could be one of those. We started mowing the topsoil. Let's see, I'm gonna back up. The topsoil's free minus our trucking costs. So they're not charging us for it, we just have to move it. We started fall mowing, so our tractors are out. Our boom mower is also out mowing. A couple other things here. In our building here, we have two-way radios. There's some in my office, they're in other offices. What I mean by that is there's a base station there. I think there's 8 of them in this building, different locations. All of our base stations don't function. They're either failed due to their age or weather, or we're not sure. But we had Baycom, that's the vendor that services our two-way radios, and most, as far as I understand, all other departments, two-way radios. Determined that all the base stations here are either obsolete or non-functioning, either by age or by weather event, we're not sure. We plan on replacing those. Right now, if you wanna use the two-way radio, you gotta go out to your truck, start the truck, and then talk on the radio. It's just not going to work for winter and for, events with the sheriff's department, because they do periodically call us on that frequency. Anyways, age-wise, I know these units come out of the old highway building. When we moved out here, that's the radio system we have, so we are way outdated on there. Anyways, there's a cost, so that's gonna be probably around 30,000 to update our radios. Then I don't have an action item, or I don't want an action item on here, but I would like to have some discussions with the highway committee, possibly finance and our 2024 equipment purchases. Gary's been doing some work on that. Like most things, you can't buy it and get it anymore in the year you do that, so he's gathered a lot of data and information on excavators, and that's what's on our 2024 plan of attack or plan to purchase. So internally here, we'd like to have that discussion and possibly bring something back for the committee to consider, allowing us to move forward with the purchase of the 2024 assets. Like I say, it is the excavator. It is a larger dollar amount item. Some of the vendors are talking 8 to 10 months out, 12. It could be that's what they're saying today. Is that what would be able to be delivered? We're not sure.
Would you keep the old one or trade it?
Well, I don't think if we get that far in our discussions here, I don't think we would trade it. Some of the trade numbers that we're seeing are very disappointing.
Oh, yeah.
13,000, you can't do that. I know I can get, if we were to put it on Wisconsin surplus, I know we get 3-4 times that easily. So I would, at that trade price, I would encourage us to take our, and on the auction site, you can put a reserve.
What's the new one, around $1 million?
That's what we thought initially when we started looking, but we're seeing anywhere from 380 to 480. Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Now, the 380 is a demo unit. I think it's got like 10 hours on that one. 480 is, I can't remember the brands off the top. This is a rubber tire excavator, not a track excavator.
Okay, now you got me.
I was just gonna say that must be rubber.
Yeah, I was thinking track.
So this would be to replace our rubber tired excavator. So we're hopefully going to have something to bring back and have some discussion at least, get some direction. I think that's it for me.
Anything on the financial report?
Any questions?
Chris, I'll defer to you.
Yeah, Chris, how's it looking?
I mean, nothing out of the ordinary is happening so far. I just want to see where we have our payments for highway M, let's see then. We're on page 4. That's where all the highway M projects will become one, is 53350. You can see that 433,000.
Looking good for the budget, getting in on time.
And that is what we have.
Anybody got any questions? Not, anybody comes up with anything for agenda items, let me know, or Pat.
Well, I think one of them is gonna be the, cost of the from the state.
We'll probably have county C back on the agenda, right? That's it.
Yeah.
The speed reduction.
Yeah. Next meeting will be October 12th. 4:30, everybody okay? Yep. Is there something on here that we need to sign?
I don't know, you guys circulated that around.
This is the econ.
Oh, no, sorry. I just brought those in here just in case. I can sign those now that the committee's approved.
Okay. Right, adjourned.